Welcome to another edition of Litter Media Game of the Week preview show with the icon and the voice of the SVC. I mean, you've been the guy for the Saginaw Valley Conference for most of your life.
Actually, that would be mathematically correct.
Speaking of Mike Smith right here.
No.
Of course I'm mathematically correct. After the stat packet that I put together for you last week.
You did great, Dan. I mean, you were right on the money. Tom Beard may be at risk of losing his gig.
I don't think so. Don't think we have to worry about that in any fashion. But we've got Bloom Carroll and Logan Elm highlights that you can see on our YouTube channel, put together by our newest member of the Litter Media crew, Alan Glandon.
Alan?
Yeah, I've changed his name.
Well, most people in entertainment do change their names.
That's a professional name.
Check with his parents and see if that's okay. Yeah.
Aaron Glandon put this together for us, and I turned the reins over to him for that so I could be up with you in the press box, and so I think he's going to be okay.
Knocked it out of the park.
He absolutely did. And it seemed like they ran every play to his camera. It was amazing.
That's great.
So we'll touch on that when you go to our YouTube channel and see all the extras we have there from the coaches we talked to, the special features of the bands and everything as well. And this week, our show is going to take place at Unioto.
Correct. First time we've seen either Unioto or Zane Trace this fall for 2023.
And the last time we saw them together, it was the closest game they've had in the last 20-plus years.
Yeah, and that decided the SVC championship in 2022.
Yeah, 35-31 final, Zane Trace winning that one. They have won the last two meetings. Unioto had won the four prior to that, but since the year 2000, it has been dominated by Zane Trace. They've got 17 wins to 6 by Unioto.
But a new coach,
Right.
New system for the Pioneers, where the Shermans, of course, still with Coach Hoops and Air Coryell. Remember San Diego Chargers? It might have been Air Shermans earlier in the year. Yeah.
We will hear from the coach who arrived from Triad and now as the new head coach for the Zane Trace Pioneers. That's Dylan Weirs. He is coming up next. Then we'll also hear from Coach Matt Hoops as well to give us some more thoughts about the Unioto Shermans, as they've had a record-breaking year for Newt Hoops at quarterback. So we've got that and a lot more coming your way in just a moment here on the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show.
At Country Clipper, pride runs deep. We take pride in knowing our mowers help create a space for families to make memories. That our features transform mowing into an enjoyable experience. Most importantly, we take pride in knowing the decision to purchase a Country Clipper will be one you can be proud of for years to come. Country Clipper zero-turn mowers.
You asked, we delivered. New Mike's Hard Lemonade Zero Sugar. Zero sugar. Amazing taste. Years in the making. Now that's a drink worthy of the name Mike.
At Rathkamp Financial, we act as your advocate in all wealth matters. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust with our customized investment solutions. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
Joined now by Coach Dylan Weirs. He's with the Zane Trace Pioneers in season number 1 with Zane Trace. And first of all, my opportunity to say welcome to the Saginaw Valley. You've been around for a couple of months now, and I'm sure you've made that adjustment to the new digs and everything.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's been a great time so far.
You started off with a couple of losses, but then since then you've gone on a 5-game winning streak here. You picked up a 17-14 win over North Union. Did that give your kids the confidence they needed to start buying into what you presented from what they used to know from the previous coach?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a couple of different things. First and foremost, our first 2 losses were against some pretty legitimate competition. And we knew that going in. We knew we were playing some pretty tough teams in the non-conference. So, I'll give credit to those teams. It's good teams, good competition. Sometimes you lose. And then it was definitely the confidence has been building. It's not just the confidence from winning. Obviously, I do some things a little differently than they've done in the past, some different systems, some different terminology, and some different things like that. The kids just seem to be getting much more comfortable with how I've been going about things and the things that have been asked from them and the schemes they've been asked to get done. Just a lot more comfortable and not a lot more confident with it.
Yeah, and I guess once you start learning the terminology and the new words for what they were used to, it starts to fold together sooner or later.
Yeah, absolutely. Just things that maybe I had to explain a couple times or the kids had to ask some questions on. It's second nature now. I say it and they know exactly what's going on, and just allows for us to get a lot more work in and do things a lot more efficiently.
I got to think they might have felt a little shell shocked. I mean, last year made it to the playoffs, made it through an undefeated regular season, and had that taste of success, but then to not see it repeat itself at the beginning of the year. But you take a look at the combined records of those two teams you played to start, 11-3, not too shabby.
Yeah, no, like I said, a lot of it I think has to do with just the competition of the teams we play, but not just that. We are not short on talent by any means. A lot of talent on our football roster, but we had a lot of new faces. A lot of kids that maybe were only asked to play one side of the ball last year, or possibly even only in certain personnels, are now being asked to come out there and play every single play of the game on offense and defense. I think it just took maybe a couple games for some of those guys to understand, like, if we want any real success, I'm that guy now. I need to be the one that steps up and the one that coach is going to call my number when he needs a big play and stuff like that. So it just took a couple games for some of those guys to understand that that's who they are now and what we expect out of them.
Am I to understand that the injury bug has hit you also this year?
It has, and like I said, thankfully for the amount of talent I do believe we have on the roster, it would have been much more detrimental than it's been. But the kids have done a great job of kind of stepping in and maybe playing a different position than what they initially started out at, or doing something a little different from week to week. And there's enough guys that we've been able to move some things around and plug some guys in certain spots that we haven't missed much of a beat off of it. We're still out a couple, but the injury bug is trending in the right direction. Definitely, we're definitely on the up and up when it comes to that currently as we sit.
You're taking on Unioto. Of course, Zane Trace won this match last year, and went on to win the SVC championship. And one would have to think whoever wins this game will have that leg up in the SVC championship for this year. And I know that the season's not over by any means, but this is go time, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm incredibly excited to play in a game like this. I think the kids are. It's very exhilarating and fun to have the opportunity to play in a game where the stakes are this high. But yeah, the kids are aware, the coaches are aware, everybody was aware before I even say it. The importance of the game of this week.
You'll have to do what you can to slow down this offense for Unioto. They've been cranking with a lot of points, and the defense has done a good job. A couple of shutouts here the last couple of weeks. That being said, what will you have to do to come away on top this Friday?
The same things we've been doing, the same things that have led us to having 5 straight wins in a row. First and foremost, just don't try to be Superman. Do your job. When your number's called, step up, and if it's not, do the little things right to help the team where you can. Just play good defense, tackle, run to the ball, and then our offensive line and running game has been doing pretty well. Really, it's had to with our injuries at the quarterback position. So we just need to continue to play physical and just turnover-free football, smart football. And I would say those are the things that give us the best chance to keep having success.
Yes, nothing good happens when it's in the other team's hands when you lose the
Absolutely
football,
not.
right? Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much, and good luck Friday night.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Started off the season with Logan Elm. They went and took on Waverly, and those two teams combined records at 11-3 right now.
Right.
But since then, Zane Trace has put some things together, and it takes time to, as you mentioned, a new coach, new system, new verbiage, and sooner or later you start trusting each other. The kids have to see something develop before they really trust and see that the system is working, and sounds like it's turned around there at Zane Trace now.
Aside from their SVC opponents, the one common thread that they have in the non-conference is Waverly.
Right.
And how did they compare on their those two games?
42-28 win for Waverly over Zane Trace, and for Unioto, it was a 28-14 game. And in that contest, Matt Hoops told me that we were in that game, and then boom, something happened just back to back, and that's how Waverly can do that. They can strike at any moment, and it sounds like what happened in the Unioto contest. So week 2, it was Waverly playing Zane Trace. Week 3, Waverly played Unioto. So that's the closest comparison we have at this moment.
Aside from the conference opponents.
Yeah. All right, coming up in a moment, we will hear from Coach Matt Hoops. He'll have his insight as what's going on with the Unioto Shermans as they find themselves at 6-1 coming into their bout with the Zane Trace Pioneers. And that'll be tomorrow night. We'll have it for you here on Litter Media Radio for those of you listening on our radio feed. And Mike Smith and Tom Beard will have all that. But we'll hear what Coach Hoops has to say when we return with the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
I was looking for a first job. I had been babysitting and decided it was something for a little more permanent. It pays very well. It's convenient. You can make your own schedule with the flexibility. That's something that I like. The people that I work with are great. I wouldn't ask for a better crew or management team to work for.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When ensuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
You haven't had vodka soda like this. No one has. Made with the world's smoothest vodka plus real juice. New White Claw Vodka Soda.
Joined now by Matt Hoops. He's the head coach of the Unioto Shermans for both basketball and football. And we're in football season right now, and the season's going pretty well for your ball club, Coach. You've only had one stumbling block so far, and that was the Waverly contest. But other than that, it's been a 6-0 season for you right now.
Yeah, obviously that was a tough one to kind of handle. We felt like we played really well the first half of that game. In fact, controlled the first 22 minutes of the first half, and unfortunately, Waverly made 2 big plays with 2 minutes to go in the first half, and gained momentum going into halftime, and kind of rode that momentum the second half for a 28-14 win for them. But other than that, we're improving as the season has gone along. We're have probably played our best couple games here the last few weeks, and we're excited about that.
Yeah, that loss was more than a month ago now. What did your kids learn about themselves from that contest that they've been able to use to get on this winning streak?
I just think that they, I don't know in terms of if they learned anything other than they've gained game experience, which early on we were playing a lot of younger guys, and that was week 3. And I think they learned the value of really how each possession is important, and the next play is the most important play. I felt like, with where they gained that momentum and got that lead going into halftime, we kind of let that linger a little bit into the second half and weren't able to overcome it. But, we've had some adverse situations moving forward since then, and we've handled it a lot better.
As you prepare for Zane Trace this week, of course, this is a rematch of last year's championship game, and that was played at their place. Now they're coming over to the U. How different is this Zane Trace team than what they were last year?
Well, I think they're different in terms of the type of personnel they have. Kind of the interesting thing about Zane Trace this year is they're almost different week to week. Nothing of their fault, just in terms of injuries that they've had to deal with throughout the season. And each week, it seems like they have different guys contributing, which says a lot to their program because they're good enough to actually have that next man up mentality and still be successful. So they're a little bit different in terms of their personnel. Last year they were a very, very big football team, but I don't think that has allowed them to play any less physical. They're still a very physical football team.
Your ball club, led by your son at quarterback, he's become the record holder now for Unioto in passing, and that has to be a nice feather in your cap. But that doesn't do a whole lot for you for the rest of the season. We got to take this one game at a time.
Yeah, absolutely, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. He's he probably uses the word next play more than anyone on the team. He's constantly saying that, and it's next play, next game, and next one's the most important. And that's the mindset he's had, and he's able to have some records, but I think that's just contributed to his work ethic and the players that he's had around him. So, very proud of him, obviously, but really proud of more of his mental makeup and how he does see the big picture.
Your last 4 contests, you've averaged 49 points per game. Meanwhile, giving up only 48 points with a couple of shutouts in those 4 contests. Is your attack balanced the way you want it, or are you doing more passing or running this year?
We're probably throwing a little bit more than we have, but we are, our offense is based on what the defense is going to give us, and that can change from week to week. But, obviously, 50-50 is the goal, but I would say we're probably a little bit, probably 60 passing, 40 running. But, an example would have been last week against Sedina. They kept 7 men in the box the entire night. So, we were able to throw the ball for, 300, almost 370 yards, I think, and 6 touchdowns. So, we're gonna take what the defense gives us. Just the week before against Piketon, they kind of allowed us to run the football, and Ethan Summer had a big game running the football for us that night, scored 3 touchdowns on the ground. So, kind of just depends on what they want to do, and we'll try to take advantage of that if we can.
And the great thing for you is that you've got the weapons to be able to make that adjustment, and you just can't take one thing away from Unioto and be successful over you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of good players. There's no doubt about it. You don't put yourself in a 6-1 position and go 9-1 last year without really good players, and we have that. I think I was talking the other day. We've had 6 different players that have caught passes for over 50 yards. So that's that kind of jumped out to me when we were looking, kind of just going through the stats.
I know offense puts up the points, but has your defense put up some points this year as well?
Yeah, we've had a couple. We've had a couple pick sixes. Caden Cutright's got 2 of them. In fact, he and Ashton Crace both have 4 interceptions. David Long has 2. But our defense is just. I think what they're doing is they're playing as one unit now. The defensive line, or those guys are taking on blocks and allowing our linebackers to make a lot of tackles. Our defensive ends, KB Perkins and Will Fleck, have just controlled the edge, and our defensive backs have gotten really comfortable at what they're doing. So that unit has just really started to play as one unit, and that's evident with 2 of the last 3 games having shutouts and held a really potent Piketon offense to 22 points. So playing well at the right time.
Exactly. I was about to say you're gelling at the right time as you head down towards the end of the season here. Good luck to you against Zane Trace, and we will see you Friday night.
Okay, thank you.
As we've mentioned, injuries at this point in time of the season, if they keep you out, it's one thing, but everybody's got bumps and bruises this time of the year. Heck, even the guys in the press box have bumps and bruises. So will that play into how this game plays out Friday night? I don't know.
I know Coach Bartholomew was talking to us about this a few weeks ago, and there are some injuries you gotta hold a kid out.
Yeah.
But like the bumps and bruises where you can go, you find out a lot about that player as to whether they're ready to go or not.
Yeah, and I think back to one of our early games this year was Eastern at Southeastern. Eastern goes in with only 24 kids on the roster, and they had only 22 that could play.
Right.
And in the game, they had a broken thumb and I think a dislocated shoulder, and the guys just popped him back in and said, "I'm putting him back out there."
Yeah.
You know, it takes a special kid to be able to do that.
Yeah. And that team you mentioned still undefeated.
Absolutely.
They're tough, yeah.
Yes. All right. Any thoughts you have on this game before we go on to the next break?
Well, something that did come to mind before that last comment, regardless of how this game goes, both of these teams still have Paint Valley ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you win, you're not out of the woods yet.
Right.
So the top three teams, and that we're saying the three that have not lost in conference, Zane Trace, Unioto, Paint Valley, they all have to play each other here over the last 3 weeks of the season.
And that's not to discount what Paint Valley has this week. They'll be hosting Huntington. And despite the fact that Huntington got their first win last weekend, whenever these two get together,
Maple Leaf Trophy, yeah.
It's an interesting contest. It might be close throughout, and then boom, something happens at the end. But 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to be the winner due to what they've done, earlier in the game. Sure. So, but it could be big in the last 2 weeks of the season in the SVC. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll have our introduction of the Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Player of the Week. If you've got someone you would like to nominate, go to our website, littermedia.com. You'll see where it says Player of the Week. Click there, and you can make your nominations for next week. So we'll introduce you to who our player is this week when we return with the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show.
This is Andy Tomlinson. When insuring what's important to you, our agents are there when you need us the most. Tomlinson Insurance, for the best coverage at the best cost. Visit us online at tomlinsonins.com to learn more.
Find a career you love with Pickaway Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand.
It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Michelob Ultra.
Our Litter Media Game of the Week preview show continues, and our Neil Coleman Insurance Wyandotte Mutual Insurance Player of the Week comes to us from last week's Litter Media Game of the Week.
Bloom Carroll's running back Dylan Armentrout. He had a record performance in more ways than one per game. 255 yards. That's a new Bloom Carroll. Now think about some of the teams that Bloom Carroll's had in recent years that this guy's setting all these records. 255 yards, had 3 touchdowns in the game, which tied a school record. He tied a school record with the longest run. That was that 92-yard touchdown run from scrimmage. He also became the all-time leading rusher in Bloom Carroll football history. He's now at 3,916 yards. That broke a record that stood for 34 years. They didn't tell me whose record he broke. He has 40 rushing touchdowns in his career, all-purpose touchdowns, meaning maybe a catch or a kickoff return or whatever. He has 44. So pretty big night for Dylan Armentrout, our athlete of the week.
I know when we talked to him afterwards, you could see in that photo that we showed you just a moment ago, he's got Army on his shirt. He is an Army commit. So, he is on his way to be a gold knight in that respects. But his average per carry prior to the 92-yarder was 5.5 yards per carry. And then he breaks loose on that, right up the gut, 92 yards, touchdown. He went from 5.5 per carry to like 9.6 yards per carry.
He's a hard kid to bring down, but in that run, he also showed the kind of breakaway speed where he kicks it into a higher gear.
And one of the most impressive things about all that was it's on grass, not on that fast turf that they have at Bloom Carroll. So congratulations to Dylan Armentrout. He will go into the rest of all of our athletes so far this year. A little bit later on, as we get maybe towards December, we'll start to give you an opportunity to help us make the decision and your chance to vote on our Player of the Year. So looking forward to that. And thanks again to Neil Coleman Insurance and Wyandotte Mutual Insurance for being a sponsor for this particular award. Now, we do want to remind you that if you have someone you would like to send a nomination for, and it doesn't have to be a high school athlete, we just have to be an amateur athlete, and send that information to us through our website, littermedia.com, which explains more about how you can do this. Just click on Player of the Week.
I stayed on the treadmill for 30 minutes the other day. Does that qualify?
That
without falling off.
Considering the fact that you passed out on a treadmill before and tore your knee up and everything, I think that is an accomplishment. That's worthy of
nominate me.
You just can't nominate
I can't
yourself.
nominate myself, right? Yeah.
And we can't guarantee that we'll.
I got it out there anyway.
Now the Player of the Week does not receive an award, but there will be an award presented to the Player of the Year. Right now, they just get the old pat on the back, good job, way to go, and a social media post.
That's right.
Here on our website. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with the Litter Media Game of the Week preview show right after these words.
Whenever I first applied for the Archways opportunity, do I have to pay this back? Do I have to do that? Like, is it a loan? And it's not. It's a scholarship. A goal of mine is to graduate college debt-free. If you're a crew member, you get $2,500 a year, and if you're a manager, you get $3,000. And especially if you're going locally to college, like to the branch or something like that, it's really helpful.
At Rathkamp Financial, we offer customized investment solutions and superior client service. We believe in long-term relationships and working to earn your continued trust. Our greatest satisfaction comes from working with clients for many years and helping them realize their dreams.
Now that's one fast mower. Take command of your lawn with Dixie Chopper, the world's fastest lawnmower.
I fell asleep Monday night, and Duck Dynasty was on when I woke up, and I couldn't get away from watching Duck Dynasty and Willie Robertson and his whole family there.
Right.
I could picture them all on those Dixie Choppers.
On the yard,
riding through. All right, final thoughts on this. Zane Trace at Unioto. This might be the biggest, toughest test for either one of these teams heading down to this stretch.
And this is a rivalry for those who are watching outside of the SVC interest. Zane Trace, Unioto, anything is big. Mm-hmm. And they referred to the team on the other side of the river, the Scioto River. So, there's a lot riding, not only in the conference standings. We alluded to the playoff points. I think Unioto was 5th or 6th in their region this week. Zane Trace is in the hunt. You got to be in the top 16. So everybody is, bringing it. It's week 8. You should be playing some of your best ball of the year at this point.
I was looking through the recent history of this series, and we go back, to the year 2000. Zane Trace has won the last 2 events. Last year was the closest to 4-point margin. Only 4 other games have been 6 or 7 points. And the 6-point difference was an overtime contest won by Zane Trace 23-17. But Zane Trace went on a nice stretch of wins. This is kind of like that series we saw last week with Logan Elm and Bloom Carroll.
Right. It seems to me, because you were there, I was at another game that night, that Unioto had a 10-point lead in that, like 24-14.
Yeah.
So as we have seen throughout the course of the year, and we saw this with Chillicothe Hillsborough when they were down by 11 and came back and actually were ahead for a while, you can't count these teams out. You got to just keep plugging away, and comebacks are not unfamiliar between these two old rivals.
How often do defenders want to get that one extra stop we need, or it might be a turnover that turns into a pick six or maybe a fumble recovery for a touchdown or just better field position, and you get back-to-back scores, and that changes the momentum in the contest. And if you'd like to see it, we've got the video of last year's game as our feature video in our playlist of last year's contest. So you can always go to our YouTube channel and take a look at the Litter Media games of the week. We've got them broken down by the seasons that they were played. So you can check that and just search Unioto Zane Trace. It'll take you right to it.
Gotcha.
All right. Litter Media Radio is where you'll hear Mike Smith and Tom Beard for the play-by-play action. So if you can't be at the game, or if you want to be at the game and hear some of the features you'll be doing, because you'll have an interview at halftime featuring the SVC Golf Player of the Year.
And headed to the state tournament, Charlie Lewis. He'll be up with us at halftime.
So make sure that you listen in for that. If you've never found Litter Media Radio, simply go to our website. This is internet-based, so click on Litter Media Radio at littermedia.com, and it'll bring you to where you need to find Litter Media Radio, which you can listen to right now as well.
And if you're in the automobile, you have the technology, plug that phone into the car radio there, and you can hear it.
And we've got little pictures that will pop up as well, so you can see what it is that you're looking at. So check it out. CarPlay, is that a Google thing or is it Apple thing? Or,
Apple, I think. Apple, yeah.
Yeah, it's Apple CarPlay.
Aaron Glandon had to help me on that one.
Is that Alan Glandon or Aaron Glandon?
Aaron.
His twin.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for the program today. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck to both teams and all the teams across our region. You'll have scores and everything for them on our website, too, littermedia.com at the end of the night. So enjoy it. We'll talk to you soon here on Litter Media.